My name is Maggie Simon. I'm 30 years old. I'm from the US, from Connecticut, and I am a facilitator for a teen cooking group in Berlin. The first word that comes to mind is equality and sort of a horizontalization of power, so everybody's equal and everybody has the same opportunities. The reason I became a volunteer is because, again, I saw part of my community needing some assistance and wanting to take part and just do my part to be a fellow community member. I think volunteers need to be open to meeting the other person and open to learning about new cultures, and be empathetic and to some extent be able to put yourself in the other person's shoes. My parents were very supportive. When they came out to visit me, they came to the cooking group and really, they were really supportive. I think I got some interesting questions from some of my relatives who have no contact with people with refugee background, but I think that was also a nice opportunity to give them another perspective on the situation. My first contact was I went with a friend who was doing an internship at an apartment building for teenagers who had come alone to Berlin. And she wanted assistance teaching German, which was funny because my German was not so good. But I think that immediately gave me a connection with these kids because, they were learning German for the first time. And it ended up just being a very natural situation, and I was able to continue that work with them and bring in some art making and eventually cooking. So every week we have generally a different group of kids, and I try to get their input on what they would want to cook. And before the course I go and shop for everything and then set up the room, and they come and we share the responsibility of cooking together and then setting the table and eating together. And so there's no head chef or anything. We're all helping each other and often experimenting with new recipes ourselves. Every time it differs. Like last week we had 20 kids, sometimes we only have 3 or 4, but they're from all over. So Afghanistan, kids from Cambodia, Syria, Iraq. No, I've never felt like I was in danger ever, no. I really think it's at the table when we're all sitting together and we're reflecting on what we've made, and I don't know, to see everybody sort of leave with full stomachs and this accomplishment of having made a full meal together. I think surprising is the amount that these kids are able to deal with on their own, like being 17 and having to go through all of this bureaucracy of staying in Berlin even has been really, just impressive to see how much these kids can handle and how resilient they are. I think the difficulty is when people aren't open to making attempts despite the difficulty. I think there are so many ways to get beyond verbal language, and it just takes the step forward and desire to interact. Yes, I've volunteered in India and Thailand and the US. Um, Me, again, I think I came into volunteering having studied art therapy and as an artist myself with this idea of I'm going to use art to save the world and really engage people, and to a certain extent I had to let go of my expectations or my ideas of what would work to really meet people where they are, and I found that just being there and being present with people is the important part, and building up sort of what works from that and creating a dialogue. I think just having people to listen and be there and go beyond the volunteer hours, you know, put yourself and interact with them as humans. I think making things that are accessible, making it part of the education system, for example. I know there are some places that require you to volunteer after or during high school, and I think this is a really vital part of being a community member and a great experience for later careers in life. Actually, I'm going to take part in a conference in Cambodia that's giving self-care techniques for therapists. So this is the next project, next adventure. I hope that it continues. I see the benefits so much for volunteers and also motivating volunteers to continue the amazing work, and also to have so many now new connections, I think is really, I'm taking away a lot. The psychological workshops that we did gave us a lot of resources to draw on just in handling ourselves in the work, and I think that is a very undervalued thing in this work.